Welcome to the Halftime Show, your world of sports in half the time. I'm Meghan Macioce.
I'm Jeff Dockum, and tonight we're going to be covering Super Bowl 52, the catch roll, and also going to be covering the halftime show with Justin Timberlake.
But let's get right to the game. Jeff has the highlights for us. Jeff, take us through the game.
Absolutely, Megan. So here we have the Eagles. They come out aggressive, driving all the way down the field, but are held to a field goal. We have a couple big plays from Foles and undrafted rookie Corey Clement. Then we're back to the Patriots. Brady is up. He drives down the field, but is also held to a field goal. The score is now 3-3. The next drive, the Eagles come out. They score, but miss the extra point. Now we have Brady. They run a trick play, throwing the ball to Brady, but he drops the ball, and now it's back to the Eagles. Then Brady, back to the Eagles. Foles runs the play on 4th and goal, catches the ball this time, takes a 22-12 lead right before halftime. Brady goes back to Gronk in the second half, and it's now 33-32 Pats. Foles' big play on 4th and 1 to Ertz. They run the touchdown, but fail to convert the two-point conversion. Brady, with 2 minutes left and 1 timeout, fumbles the ball on a nice pass rush from the Eagles, and the Eagles kick a field goal to go up 8 points in winning their first Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, Jeff, as you can see here from the highlights, it was nuts. Jalen Mills was all over Gronkowski at the end, and I love that Foles decided to go right back at it and play the trick play that the Patriots tried to do. But, of course, it worked for the Eagles, not them. This was not the Super Bowl for the Patriots to win. Gronk, he had some nice plays from the second half, but ultimately they could not get it done. But let's talk about Nick Foles. He was absolutely incredible. He just stayed sturdy for them throughout the game. I know a lot of people were worried they were under, but they pulled it out. So what did you see from Nick Foles that Brady didn't do?
Well, really, I think I'm going to put it on the Pats' defense. Their pass rush really allowed Foles to open up and throw for his 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if it wasn't for that weak pass rush, he wouldn't have been able to do that. But what I really liked was Doug Peterson. Really, he came out aggressive, and they didn't shy away from throwing underneath balls. They took the big shots right from the beginning. I think that made the biggest difference, showing no fear, coming out confident, and really just proving that, you know what, I can take on the Patriots and I can win in the Super Bowl even though I'm considered the underdog.
Exactly, which is crazy because Doug Peterson's very laid back off the field, and then he comes out aggressive. But let's move into that receiving core. Alshon Jeffrey, he was incredible in the first half, which is crazy because he was kind of quiet during the season, but getting him involved, what did that do for the Eagles' offense?
Oh, that helped out immensely. I mean, he had that incredible 34-yard touchdown. I believe it was on 4th down. It was, without that, the Eagles would not have been up and doing the big things that all these other teams said they can't do. So Alshon Jeffrey, he did very well in the game. He only had one mistake, which was bobbling the ball and allowing the pass to be intercepted by the Patriots. But really, that didn't do too much of the game as the Eagles they pulled out in the end. So.
But I think what's crazy with Belichick is we were talking about the secondary for the Patriots and to not start Malcolm Butler. There was there's a couple rumors going around why he didn't. We're not going to get into it, but when the Patriots were down in that game, do you think Belichick should have said, you know what, I'm going to scratch it. Let's put Butler and see if we can turn this game around?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what they had to do, they had to resort to Eric Rowe, which is a slot corner. They had to push him outside, and he allowed the Alshon Jeffrey 34-yard touchdown. I mean, and who's to say that would have been stopped if Malcolm Butler was in? But Malcolm Butler had most of the snaps during the season. He should have been in. I really think it would have changed the game score. And yeah, it was a detrimental mistake. I mean, that was I don't know what Belichick was thinking, but
they made a couple second half adjustments and they put Gilmore on Jeffrey to kind of take him out of the game. But when we move into it, it wasn't just the receivers that did a great job for the Eagles. The running core was amazing. Jahe was running hard. You had Blunt, and then you had undrafted rookie Corey Clement, who had his first touchdown of the season in the Super Bowl. Does it get better than that?
I don't think it does. I don't think it, not at all. But the offensive line, Philadelphia's offensive line, they didn't perform that well in my opinion. But you know what? They did just enough, and that's all they needed.
Exactly. And I think Nick Foles, you saw Carson Wentz come over. He was involved. You could tell how much he wanted to be in the game as well. But Nick Foles, as you can see, it was incredible. Not only did he throw for 3 touchdowns, but he caught one as well. And I loved that they just turned around and used that against the Patriots. But an incredible stat from this game was the New York Rams or Yams? Yanks, excuse me, the New York Yanks. It was an incredible stat they put up through the Super Bowl, and it was a great game. Obviously, I'm really happy the Eagles won. Glad the Patriots didn't, but there was a little bit of controversy with the game-winning touchdown from Zach Ertz. What did you think of it?
Well, you know, the rule is after you take 2 steps, you automatically become a runner. So I think it was a touchdown. You know, he lost control after the initial hit to the ground, but he was a runner, and he caught the ball in the end zone as well. So I think, you know, that's definitely a touchdown. Unlike the Jesse James touchdown, which with the current rule I don't believe was, but we're going to be going over that as well.
Yeah, and you know, so for more on the catch rule and the difference between Zach Ertz and Jesse James, let's head over to our reporter Aaron Becker for more on it. Aaron?
Thanks, Megan. Like you said, the catch rule has made itself prevalent once again in the biggest game of the year, the big game, Super Bowl 52 this past weekend. And it was Zach Ertz in the late game making that game-winning touchdown. But let's take a look at this play and diagnose it a little bit to why it was called a catch. Now, this is actually the Steelers game, and Jesse James finds it right over the middle. The Steelers did a great job at executing this play. They had receivers running the out routes to find the opening in the zone for Jesse James. Now, this play was called incomplete. But if you take a look at this Eagles game, Zach Ertz catches the ball at about the 6-yard line. Now, he did bobble it in the end zone while falling to the ground, which was very similar to Jesse James, why it was called incomplete, because you have to maintain that possession while making the impact with the ground. However, the difference in this Eagles game was because Zach Ertz established himself as a runner, because once he caught the ball at the 6-yard line, he made a couple steps. This rule is very, very complicated, and I think it really needs to be simplified. But looking at these two plays, I believe that you should both be catches. Zach Ertz was called a catch because he made himself a runner, and all he had to do was cross the goal line with the ball. Now, Jesse James, once he caught that ball, he had to maintain possession while falling to the ground, and that's why, technically, according to the rule, it was called incomplete. But like I said, I think these both should be catches. The rule really needs to be simplified because it's very complicated between catching the ball, becoming a runner, going across the goal line for the touchdown, and maintaining possession when falling to the ground. Now, this Super Bowl 52 was a very, very exciting game. It lived up to the expectations as it had, especially in the Eagles being the underdogs and coming out with the win against Tom Brady, who threw for a postseason record 505 yards. It was an incredible game. As you saw, 1,151 yards, also another postseason record between these two teams. And this Zach Ertz play, just another highlight of this game. But going back to this Jesse James catch, Megan, what do you think? Was it a touchdown or was it incomplete?
I'm going to go for an unbiased opinion here because I know I'm a Steelers fan, but looking at it, I think it should be a catch. He had possession. This whole survive the ground rule, I've never heard of that. I think they had just called it because it was a big game the Steelers were in. It was for the #1 seed. And I think it's funny that most of the catches this season that have been iffy have been against the Patriots. You had one with the Jets that was called back for a touchdown. You had one with the Steelers, and you had one with the Bills. That's 3 weeks in a row. So do the refs really need to turn around and look at the catch rule, or when it's the catch rule against the Patriots? I don't know. It goes back and forth, but this has started all the way back in 2010 with Calvin Johnson with the Lions in the postseason. So I personally think, yeah, James was a catch. I think both of them were catches. I understand the difference between the two of them, especially with your analysis. Thank you. That was great. But, yeah, I definitely think James was a touchdown. In my opinion, you should just have to break the plane while you maintain possession. And as soon as you break it, that's what I think it should be. But as they examine this rule in the offseason, and there's a couple that they really need to take a look at, especially like with head hits. But, hey, we're on the catch rule. So, Aaron, what do you think the refs and the league in particular need to put into this rule to make it even across the board, no matter what team you're playing against?
Well, I think you have to compare all of these skills positions. When it comes to running backs, let's take a look at that, for example. When the running backs have the ball and they're running toward that goal line, their bodies don't even have to be across that goal line. As long as that ball breaks the plane, it's a touchdown. So when it comes to receivers, I agree with you, Meghan. If they catch that ball and that ball crosses the line of scrimmage of the goal line, I think it should be a touchdown. I think all of this, considering themselves to be a runner, maintaining possession when falling to the ground, there's too much involved in this game. And also, like you said, this rule has been very complicated for a while, dating back to Calvin Johnson's catch, then going up to Des Bryant's catch against the Green Bay Packers, and now this year with a few games, like you said, with the Patriots. I don't know if it's kind of a Patriots rule or not, but again, with the Jesse James catch, and now here in Super Bowl 52 with Zach Ertz. But this rule does need to be looked at a lot this offseason, and yeah, just simplify it, maintaining catch, and crossing that goal line. I think it has to be as simple as that, and I know a lot of older traditional fans are looking to make this rule simplified. So yeah, thanks, Meghan.
Thanks, Aaron, for that analysis. And now joining me in studio is Nikole Kost to break down the Justin Timberlake halftime show. Some people said it was good, some people said it was bad, some people said he was the best entertainer of all the Super Bowls. So Nikole, what do you think?
So overall, I think JT was a really good choice for the Super Bowl. You know, coming from Chris Martin and Beyonce and Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga, you know, he's next. And so he started Under the Tunnel with these laser light shows, which was a spectacular visual concept. And then he came out through the ramp and he started dancing and performing Filthy, his new single from his new album Man in the Woods. And it just kind of went downhill from here. So this crowd seems to be really into it. And you know, he's just performing and nothing spectacular is happening from here. It's just, I felt like overall we were at a concert. Nobody was giving too much of an effort outside, it seems like, from other videos. But he went and he played some of his most iconic songs, such as Rock Your Body, Senorita, My Love, Cry Me a River, Suit and Tie, Mirrors, Can't Stop the Feeling. And
The mirrors was really interesting.
Yeah,
I liked that concept of it.
Yeah, so when the crowd came out with the mirrors, it was like kind of seemed like a marching band tribute to it.
Yeah.
And they started twinkling and the lights, and it was really pretty. And then he went to Cry Me a River, and people were waving their hands, and they were really, really into it. It seemed like everybody was really into it, and he had the entire crowd wrapped around his finger. And then the marching band started coming out during Suit and Tie, and those visuals were absolutely incredible. Anything with a marching band is really spectacular.
I like the trumpet dance that he did with him. That was pretty cool as well. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I would like to point out he had this camo suit on, which I think was really average. That was a really bad choice of uniform for such a performance. And then he went up to a white piano, and he was silhouetted, and it was very, very pretty, and people had their phones out, and it was really twinkly, and he made a tribute to Prince. And there was controversy with it because he agreed that they would not have a holograph of Prince, one of his wishes before his death, and it felt like they did this loophole with the projection, so I don't think that was really appropriate.
I agree with you. So what did you think about the lasers? Because when I was watching them in the beginning, to a certain extent, I felt like they took away from Justin Timberlake.
I did too. He was silhouetted, and I can't really see him through the entire performance. So I thought that was a really, that was too much.
Now, we've had iconic performances with Katy Perry with the left shark joke, and we had Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. Was there anything iconic about Justin Timberlake's performance that people could talk about?
No. I don't think there was anything iconic with him, but when he was performing his last song, he went up into the crowd, and he came across this boy, and he just seemed starstruck. He had no idea what to do, and he took out his phone, took a selfie that went viral. He became a selfie kid. His name is Ryan McKenna, and he's a 13-year-old 7th grader from Massachusetts, and, you know, he went viral for how uncomfortable he was. Like, he did not know who Justin Timberlake was.
No, that was very obvious, and I was even uncomfortable watching it. I was like, does he know him? Does he not know him? I think Justin Timberlake was even like, do you know who I am?
Yeah, and he pointed out, oh, selfies, Super Bowl selfies. And, you know, he was very, very uncomfortable, and I don't blame him, to be honest. I'm sure he was starstruck, but the memes that went online right after were incredible. They were so funny.
They were great, but thank you for the recap of the halftime show. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait till to see who they pick next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, this year I feel like I was at a concert, not a halftime show.
Exactly. So let's hope they step it up next year. But that's everything we have for you tonight. Join us next week with a special Winter Olympics edition where we will cover everything from the Russians to the Americans and how they're doing on their quest for gold. We'll see you next time.